hello everyone. I wanted to put another message out there because I was just inspired to do so by a friend of mine. So I want you to understand that if you have inflammatory issues in your body, so if you have arthritis or any other kind of inflammatory issue, it's really important to understand that as long as you are not balancing your blood sugars, that inflammation is going to continue to build up in your body. So if you're diabetic and you have severe arthritis, if you're diabetic and you have any other kind of inflammatory issue, if you just generally have inflammation in your joints, in your gut, in your heart, usually you can't feel the stuff that's going on in your heart. Unless you're balancing your blood sugars, it's going to be difficult for you to manage that inflammation, because when we spike our blood sugars through obviously processed foods, sugary foods, starchy foods, not getting enough fiber. I know you've heard me talk about that. When you spike your blood sugars, it causes an inflammatory response in your body. So I'll give you an example. I had a patient when I was a physical therapist that was a type 1 diabetic, and her blood sugars were completely out of control. Her hemoglobin A1C was really high, and her blood sugars at any moment, usually every day, every morning, were severely out of control. They were like 300. And she was drinking Ensure to help bring her blood sugars up at night. And I told her, I went and got the can of Ensure, and I told her to read the ingredients. And of course, the first ingredient was sugar, and then high fructose corn syrup, and then, like a whey protein concentrate or something like that. And it was the wrong food for her, or for anybody for that matter. And it was severely spiking her blood sugars in the morning. So I went and got a can of nuts. And I told her to read the label on the can of nuts. And so she did. And she was like, peanuts, cashews, Brazil nuts, pecans, whatever was in there. And I said, okay, which one's food? And she said, the nuts. And I said, yes, eat a handful of nuts and like a half an orange or a handful of grapes before you go to bed and see what happens. And her knee pain was like an 8 out of 10. And so I told her, I said, look, that knee's going to hurt. As long as your blood sugars are spiking like that, your knee is always going to hurt. And so that was the first time anybody had ever related her blood sugars to her knee pain. No physician, nobody had ever told her that. And it's just the truth. And so she started doing what I told her. And her pain went from an 8 out of 10 to a 2 out of 10. And her blood sugars started being in the hundreds in the morning as opposed to 300s. So just know that even if you're not diabetic, if you're having inflammatory issues, there are so many people that are trying to be diabetic in this country because we're constantly spiking our blood sugars through sports drinks and pop and, creamer in our coffee all day and processed foods and bread, lots of bread, all that stuff is causing us to spike our blood sugars. So we need to have an effort to balance it. In my opinion, everybody should start their day off with a complete smoothie because it's almost a perfect food. The glycemic index is like 2 point something, which is really good. But regardless, you need to find a food that can help balance your blood sugar in the morning, and you'll start to feel better. And you won't have crazy sugar cravings like I used to. All right, talk to you later.